So, just after the last game of Planes has concluded, I'm going to make a short rundown of all the games. Really short, just talking about interesting stuff, who won the game and which player had a really pop-off performance. Talking about the like standout games, and then I'm going to talk about a few MVPs per role and overall. I'm going to do that at every day I can. So yeah, let's just get into it. First game of the day, Mad Lions versus INTZ. It was a rather close game, closer than anyone has expected. INTZ had a really off-meta draft. Urgot top lane with a really interesting build. Cleaver, a standard item for him, and then going for Edge of Night second for the lethality. Also, Edge of Night is the most tanky lethality item there is. Obviously, not really a tank item, but with the HP and the spell shield, it is a bit more tankier than the others. So it's not that risky. Still very interesting. He did tons of damage, especially after level 13 with his passive. Afterwards, he built a GA, a Guardian Angel, and then at the end of the game, he was looking to complete a Randon's Omen. So yeah, maybe you want to try that out. In like low elo solo queue games, you can really surprise the enemies with the burst of damage, especially after level 13 and 9 are like 2 power spikes for Urgot. Overall, it wasn't enough for INTZ. They got caught in strange locations and had some misplays. So yeah, Matt was able to finish the game, but not that convincingly, in my opinion. Really standout players were Karzi from Mad Lions and the Tay from INTZ with the Urgot pick, who was really popping off. Following that, we had PSG against Rainbow 7. That was a really interesting game. As you all know, PSG plays with 3 substitute players, 2 from HQ, Kongyu and Uniboy, and D in AD carry position from Machi. If you have watched the game and listened to the English cast, you would have known that D hasn't played professional for over a year. He's the substitute player for Machi Esports, and yeah. So with this really underdog roster change, their performance was really solid. They had a strong mid jungle duo with Echo jungle and a set mid lane. And yeah, they were really playing quite a quick game, quite aggressive. Yeah, really good overall. And the support Kaiwing, as expected, he was really solid. His roams to the mid lane in the early game were really helpful and set up for a lot of early pressure in that position. On the other side, Jose Deo from Rainbow 7, their jungler, he had a good game, like some good ganks with the Hecarim, but overall he had little chance to carry his team. The Echo jungle, Runic Echo, Protobelt into Lichbane, and then completing the Magi's after the early buy of the Darksteel, and then later looking for Rabadon completion. So yeah, it's an interesting pick. You need CC in your lanes because the W stun is not that reliable, especially in the mid lane, and you also want some AD in your lanes, so you don't have 2 AP sources of damage. And well, yeah, if your jungle is an assassin, you want a tank in top lane and support for the initiation. And in this game, they went with a tank in the mid lane, which is a bit inconvenient and uncommon in solo queue. But maybe if you're doing with someone, you can try that out. Following that game, we had Legacy Esports versus INTZ. Really close game. But after a while, Legacy were pushing their leads. Overall, was really interesting. We had many fights. Their top laner Tapoon and their mid Tally had really good games. On the other hand, on the other side, Tay again with his Vladimir was really popping off. Had good team fights, and Redbird had solid Bard plays. Landed a few good ults. Yeah, we have to say that the AD carry of Legacy, Ilesclaw, I think, no, that's a support, Ace, was misplaying a bit with his Tristana jump, wasting it and then getting hit by Bard ult, but still the Bard ults were pretty good. Yeah, it went out for a win for Legacy Esports after some good fights. And the interesting pick we saw in this game was Knight's Vow on Set. It's a good item. Often people just assume items like Knight's Vow or Locket of the Iron Solari are purely support items, but not as a first item, but as a second or third item. They're really helpful on tanks because you can set up your AD carry to succeed even more, and at some point more tank items won't do that much, because the AD carry on the enemy team or the mage with their penetration will still do tons of damage even if you get one armor item more. So the extra survivability for your AD carry and the extra healing also you get with this item is really nice to see. So yeah, maybe if you're playing a tank and you're team fighting, also you have a good AD carry in your game, yeah, Knight's Vow might be a good item to pick up. Then the fourth game of the day, LGD versus PSG. Yeah, it's a major upset. Everyone was expecting LGD to succeed, especially after the draft. They were able to get Lilia first pick, followed up by a Lucian and a Volibear. Really strong champions overall. Yeah, and yeah, enemy team was just getting like decent picks. Kramer also able to get the Ashe in the bot lane. But then, yeah, we had some interesting item build decisions from Langex in the top lane, Volibear with Cleaver, Iceborne, Deadmans and Gargoyle. Yeah, that's not really what you're looking into. The item's not really synergizing well with what Volibear wants to do in the game. The Iceborne is a really standout strange item there. So even with these bad item builds, everyone was expecting, especially with the good draft, LGD to push through. But then when it came to the team fights, yeah, PSG was heavily punishing LGD's misplays. There were like Lucians who weren't pressing E to dodge skill shots, Ashe arrows flying across Runeterra but not into the enemy team. Mark's Braum had ults that were not hitting the enemy champions or the unimportant ones. Yeah, the team fights were really a mess. LGD was failing mechanically, and yeah, if you're playing champions that need to work well together, yeah, that's not good. Addition to working together, yeah. Langex was diving in while the rest was kiting out, or like his engage was way too fast for the rest of the team to follow up, and yeah, other stuff in later team fights. The skills of the players even became worse. Ornn hitting in a QE combo on Lucian and Ashe in a team fight. This is stuff that can't happen. Yeah. Overall, PSG is still playing solid and punishing these picks, but we have to look at their drafts in the future. They can't afford to give up these power picks, even if the results say it went all fine. That's not how this works. Like you can't just give the enemy team these S and A plus tier picks, because if they're able to play these champions, if they have hands, then obviously the results will be different in the future. And for LGD, yeah, we have to hope that they step it up, because with such a gameplay, that will not be what brings them into groups, because the other teams, while they were a bit shaky, they were at least playing their champions correctly. So to the final game, Team Liquid against Mad Lions. Really standout players were Impact and Tactical, obviously, not only from their scoreline, but also their team fighting was really strong. Impact's flanks and Tactical's positioning and kiting really strong. And yeah, for TL fans, this is something you wish to see. Impact getting his second best pick, and Tactical pulling out the strong expected hidden power pick, right, from the leaked scrims. We were expecting Twitch to rise to power at this world tournament. On the other hand, Matt's performance was rather sad. They had botched engages, and TL was probably outplaying them to their abilities. I liked what was Kaiser doing in the game. Like his Leona ults were solid, and the laning phase was played quite good from him. Yeah, on the other hand, like Karzi had some issues with the Ash arrows. Humanoid, it was okay, but he didn't land some crazy skill shots and was playing rather reserved. Additionally, Shadow was yeah, a shadow of what he wants to do. He was trying his best with some flanks, trying to be creative, but yeah, also the Eve pick wasn't really doing that well. Running through Mordekaiser and Twitch, or having them into the fight, it's not good. AoE spells, yeah, and if the enemy team wants to group, that's also not that great for Evelyn. She wasn't getting an early lead. Roxas Lee Sin, like his staple pick, it's also something that Mad Lions would have had to prepare for. Like Impact got his second best champion, Twitch, which was expected. What? Tactical got it, Jensen got TF, and Broxer got his Lee Sin, his best champion by far. This is something that can't happen again in draft phase, and yeah, the team fights were a bit all over the place. Actually, if TL hadn't outplayed them, I think Mad Lions could have actually won some of them. But overall, it was a bit messy in regards to their team coordination. Finishing the game reviews and coming to the MVPs of each role. You have to understand, yes, some teams played only one game and others played two. And yeah, so if you're like really hard smurfing in this one game, I will give you a good amount of points. And if you play two games and play really well, but lose two games, I can't really yeah, give you a good lead for that. So in top lane, I have Impact. He really showed Orome what Iron Man can do. Really good performance. Team fighting was great. I liked his item build. Yeah, not much to say on the negative side. In jungle, I have in jungle and mid, I have PSG's Kongyun and Uniboy. The mid jungle was really good. How they were playing together, setting up Uniboy, and in the first game setting up Kongyun with the Echo pick. Really like that. The roams into the other lanes also good, very interesting. Yeah. Also, it helps if you're winning two games in quite a good fashion, I have to say. And their wins were through mid jungle in both cases. So yeah, they're getting a lot of points here for the MVP scale. In AD carry, obviously Tactical was probably the only major AD carry today. Karzi had a good game in the first one, but other than that, most AD carries were not really relevant to the play, which is expected in today's meta. But yeah, tactical in the last game, pulling out the Twitch and had some really nice team fights, spraying his R auto attacks over Mad Lions. So I have to acknowledge that. And in the support position, I have another PSG player, and it's Skywing. Yeah, Kaiser had also a good day, but it wasn't of the same caliber at which was Skywing's. So I'm going to give him the edge there. Also, just as I said before, it helps if you're winning. Obviously, then you look better, but overall, Skywing's roams and his teamwork with the three strangers in his team, his bot lane performance with D was really good, and also the coordination he showed with Kongyun. They were roaming in the enemy jungle and setting up for mid lane plays like they were mains. And yeah, I have to acknowledge this feat. Really impressive for this yeah, for the scrappy team. Yeah. Overall, though, the MVP of the day, it has to be PSG's Kongyun. Yeah, Uniboy was playing also really well as tactical and impact. But Kongyun with 2 wins, and obviously against a team like LGD, even though LGD was misplaying, Kongyun was punishing their misplays quite good. And I feel he was the driving force behind PSG's W's today. The honorable mention for the MVP, not the total, but the honorable mention for the MVPs today would be INTZ's Tay. Yeah, really a game of team div. He was really performing against Orome, and then later against Tapoon, but it wasn't enough. The rest of his team was quite losing, and yeah, so I can't give him the top MVP spot, but yeah, also Impact really playing very well today. Yeah. And that wraps up the daily review of the playing stage. Tomorrow's video will come a bit later, but yeah, we will get a review for each day if possible. Hope you all have a wonderful day and see you around.